we're gonna be friends.
Don't do that. Welcome back, everybody, to Deep Talks. We're here at it again. This time, we are in the kitchen, right? No, this is the, what would you call it?
This is actually like a dining room area, but it's not used as dining room.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, man. I love it.
Thank you.
The piano's here. Dude, I should have told you, I hate these chairs so much. A regular chair this is like the one thing I hate. Doesn't matter.
You can be lounged.
I know. I hate being lounged. I hate that more than anything. This is an egg chair.
This guy doesn't like to be relaxed.
No, this chair is for an egg person. I'm not an egg. This is for an egg person.
Well, I'm a bird man, and I like eggs.
I know, but like, doesn't matter. We're back at it again. Okay, so I was a little late today because I was trying to figure out the Stream Deck. I had the Stream Deck connected to my PC for when I did Deep Talks with Gilbert. By the way, currently Gilbert's situation, he is somewhere in the middle of the world. Who knows? We won't hear of him until way the fuck later.
What you mean?
So you're filling in for him. That's what I'm trying to say. We don't know where Gilbert's at, but just know our thoughts and prayers are with him. It doesn't matter. He's around somewhere. Somewhere. Doesn't matter. So for the right now, I usually play videos, for the intro, somewhere in the middle, and towards the end, I'll play like some videos just to kind of get some conversation.
Yeah, just imagine there's a clip and we're gonna laugh in a couple seconds. Ready?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I don't have it ready right now.
that was a funny clip.
No, it's not ready right now. It'll be for later. Doesn't matter. Right now, so we've been doing this is going to be our third episode, by the way, together, that we haven't done in, well, we've been spacing them out, but for the most part, our third episode together of the relaunch of VVR Talks, right. Deep Talks, or whatever. It's just been a while to get back in the mood of this. So next time I will have everything better, whatever. But
more gooder.
For right now, we're recording in this space. It's pretty cool, actually. I like it a lot. It's pretty open. But let's talk about
comparatively to the studio that's like small room.
Yeah, small and tiny. Father's Day just passed. Let's talk about Father's Day.
What about Father's Day?
What do you mean, what about it? Talk about your day!
Dude, Father's Day was pretty good.
What about it?
I think I was out really late last night. Or, not last night.
The night before?
The night before. Oh my god, yeah. And then I slept in. For me sleeping in, I've only been like getting like 5 hours of sleep a night because my body's so accustomed to like I go to bed at 2 a.m. and then I wake up at like 8, and so, or 7, depending on the situation. So like whether I have a show or I just like need to clean the house or something, my body doesn't want to fall asleep until. Otherwise, if I try to go to bed earlier, I'll just lay there awake and then it just ruins the rest of my sleep. So I need to like stay awake enough to get the tired feelings. Yeah. But anyways, I was out late that night, and then I wake up at like 9 a.m, so I slept in a couple hours, and then I get a text from Mom saying like, "Oh, the food's not going to be done at 1; it's going to be done at like 11." So
that's hey, dude, that's even better. That. That's gooder.
No, I had like planned out the day. Like as soon as I woke up, I'm like, okay, this is what I have to do. This is what I need to get done. I can go like. Just stretch, meditate, drink water, do my vitamins, like take care of myself, and then go to the gym and actually like go swimming and wake up and feel refreshed, and then leave by noon. Go to my parents at 1.
It'd be good.
No, so I ended up just like leaving right away. It was good. I hung out with my family, and then my grandpa came, so it was cool to see him.
Grandpa Condor?
Yeah, my dad's dad.
Yeah.
And so we had dinner and then like worked on his car. I was feeling really out of it because. I guess it's kind of been the situation, as I was saying, only sleeping a few hours, but it's been like consistently the past several weeks. And I don't know, I just like wasn't in a very good mood that day, but I was keeping it together. Yeah. Then eventually I went home swimming, and then I think we met up at in the evening.
Yeah, later at like 7, was it?
It was like 6 or 7. Yeah,
6 or 7.
And then you came over, we started working on music and way into it. I was like, oh, this is ideal. Yeah. And then we went out to Olive Garden.
Before that, let me tell you mine.
Yeah, what was your perspective?
Because we're wrapping up to this. So, the day before, so I just finished working at this house, right? That's 3-story house. I finished painting it, all of it. Painting the trims, different colors. It took 3 different coats of it. And then painting the walls, extensively for a 3-story house 6 days. I got my first employee that I've ever had in my entire life. And I contracted him. Well, not really. Like I had him work under me, but like it was paid gig, like cash, you know? Mm-hmm. So we didn't have to like do anything in terms of like me writing a check or anything. Now we're just doing it cash, you know? But it was pretty cool. I got to like order this guy around and be like, put the brush up your ass and make sure you're doing it right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty cool. But we were able to finish he was a really nice guy too. We were able to finish the house in 6 days. And the day before on Friday, like a couple days before on Friday, I was talking to my dad, like, hey dad, are you going to be, what are you going to do for Father's Day? And he's like, probably nothing. And that day he kind of pissed me off again because he was, God, what were we talking about? So there's this section of the house that he built a column for. So essentially, there's a living room and the kitchen, right? And the kitchen, there was a wall that was dividing the kitchen and the living room, and they wanted that to be open. So he demoed that, and he built the column. Essentially, just made it like, you know, just more form-fitting, made it open, really good. And he told me days before, he's going to take care of it. He's going to paint it. He's going to take care of it. Because it's not done drying because he's got to mud it and everything. So in my head, it wasn't even a concern to me, right? Yeah. I thought it was going to take, like I would have to come back after I'm done painting the house and I'll paint that last. But he said that he would take care of it. So the timeline from that whole week to that Friday when I was done, or that Thursday I should say when I was done, at 4 p.m. he texted me right when we're leaving. That was the last day that we were supposed to be working there. I finished painting everything. We're wrapping up our stuff and we're leaving. And he sends me a text at 4 p.m. saying, hey, can you paint the column? And I don't get the text until later that night when I was here for band practice on Thursday. Oh. Yeah. But the fact, and I got so angry, and it's a little angry at him, mainly like 70-30 or whatever. 70-30 kind of anger.
Splitting out your emotions and percentages like that.
Yeah, because like, he could have just told me, hey, if you had time, can you paint this? Because it's done now. I've done the last coat. It's ready to be painted. He did not communicate that to me. When he called me that day, he said, it's obvious that it should have been done. Why didn't you do it? And I'm like, you said that you would fucking take care of it. You know, that kind of shit. Like, I would have done it if it was in my head to do it, you know? But like, I was focused on just getting the fuck out of there because they needed to move in, right? So... he was angry at me because he thought that I didn't do it on purpose. But for like I said, my mind was thinking like I was already set on doing literally anything else. I was trying to get the fuck out of there. Yeah. And he said that day, "Can you do it?" And I'm like, I was so angry that I was there with my partner, and I could have done it, and I didn't do it, and I was so upset. And I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't see his text until later that night when we were at band practice, and I celebrated with the beer. And I'm like, fuck, I get to celebrate. I'll have a beer. And I don't fucking drink, like, ever. I'll have a beer when I'm, like, not doing anything the next day because then I don't have to take my sleeping medication. Mm-hmm. And I can just fucking, you know, focus on the next day or just relax and do whatever. Stay up late for as long as I want. I didn't sleep that night because I was so stressed out. And I called my dad later and I'm like, I'm so angry. I hate that. I hate that I could have done it, but I'm upset at you because you said that you would have done it. You know, I'm getting angry. I'm yelling at him in a way that's kind of trying to convey that like this is not your. I'm trying to tell him as well like this isn't your fault. This is more like a. I don't know why the message just didn't get sent until the right time. You know, it's really dumb stuff like that.
That is super unfortunate.
And he says, son, if this is stressing you out, we got to get you out of here. I'm like, you've never once understood me. Like, I've been trying to tell you this entire time I want to leave this job, you know? I'm like, I've been trying to tell him for the longest time, and he doesn't. He's a very third world kind of, you know, person where they just don't know how to relate to their children, nor do they know how to communicate effectively with their children. That's what I'm dealing with, you know, as someone that's like that. And especially this kind of relationship where he got me the job. So like, yeah, of course I'm grateful for that. But I was just trying to get the fuck out of there and trying to do the best job possible, you know? Mm-hmm. So Friday, I don't sleep. Friday I go there, I finish that shit up. It's such an easy thing to do as well. Just sand the whole fucking the mud wall, and then I painted everything double coated, and that's it. So easy. The fact that I thought I would be done, and I got paranoid thinking the reason why I couldn't sleep is that I will never be done with this job. And I hated that feeling, the feeling that, oh, I forgot something, or I'm going to come back on Saturday or on Monday the next day just to fucking continue working just because it'll never be done. That's what I was upset about more than anything.
I could see that.
And he couldn't understand that. He's like, no, you're weak. The way he told me was very much in a way of like saying, if you cannot handle this, you should leave. And I'm like, I've been trying to tell you that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing in this world. I'm supposed to be an art teacher. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. And you cannot understand that because I can tell you this, but it just goes past your ears and you don't do anything to support me, So the way for me to move forward, and this is how I forgave him a long time ago, right? In order for me to move forward with not hating you, because this is someone that is supposedly someone I love and someone who loves me, right? In order for me to move forward in forgiving you, I have to cut you off emotionally from this point, and I have to now obviously take my own responsibility and carving my own path forward. But I have to do it without them, without people like them.
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Since you have expressed it to him, in what way can he support you in your endeavor to become an art teacher?
So the main thing that pisses me off is that he will support other people like Danny, like my younger sister.
Yeah, but what does that look like?
Like being there. So
but
whenever
how can he be there for you to be an art teacher?
For example, in this way, I have no idea because I don't know what that looks like for me. So I can't tell you, but I know what he does for them, right? I can tell you that. So what he does for them is that if Danny's got a soccer game, he would go there. He will be there, but he's not. I believe it in my heart that if he didn't know about it, he wouldn't go. If he didn't know, you know what I'm saying? But like we've got our stepmom that will tell him, Danny's got a soccer game, we got to go. Or Danny's gonna go to college, we're gonna support her in like paying for her college or whatever. They've put everything in the foundation to help out Danny carve her path forward. Everything, the support. I know that it's there because they've done it with her. She is now going to college. They have supported her going to college, helping her getting to the right place, whatever that even looks like. I don't even know what it is, but I know that they did that. They didn't do that with me. When I went to college, I made fake reports saying that my parents were dead just so I can get a scholarship. You know what I'm saying? Because they wouldn't support me for anything. They wouldn't ask me what college am I going to, why am I going to college. They wouldn't ask me none of that shit. In fact, what my dad did more than anything, this is what he could do, I guess, to support me, right? What he did was that he held me back in thinking that when I wanted to go to college, when I was working with him, I think I've expressed this before in the podcast as well, that when you're working as a contractor, you have, let's just say, like this perfect example of this house. When I got contracted on Thursday, the week before, they needed to move in before the 15th. So we have like literally 7 days to finish the house. I can't take a day off, right, to go and do that, to go and do school is what I'm trying to say. There's just, if I do that, if I try to even leave for night classes, I would get berated by my dad and say, you cannot leave. We got to finish the job. He's got a point. He's right. We need to finish this job. But at the same time, I'm trying to fight for my future. And then all of that hate builds up after a while. And I'm like, I'm trying to do everything I can to get out of here. And you're trying to, rightfully, it doesn't seem like in his eyes he's holding me back, right? But he doesn't know how to handle that. My dad only sees things as one way. This is work is money, and when it's time to work, you need to work. He will never support me outside of that because he doesn't know what that looks like for me as the oldest of the sons, right?
Yeah.
Of all of them. But when it comes to Danny, she's not working with him, so she doesn't know what this means. When you need to go to school and leave to school to go to soccer practice, and if my dad's like, obviously, like they don't have to worry about rides anymore because they have multiple people that can take them on rides. But if there came a situation where Danny's like, you're my only ride, I need to go to soccer practice, my dad would make it go out of his way to leave work, pick her up, and go to soccer practice. Whereas for me, when I'm trying to leave and do my stuff, he will berate me and say, I can't do this. I shan't do that.
Right, and I think maybe he also views you differently as your eldest. He's
Yeah.
in a way giving you the tough love that you've talked about before in our other conversations, not on the podcast, but his immediate children that are currently like living with him and be like underage.
Yeah.
So he sees you like as an older adult that like, oh, you should just you're working man, do the work.
Yeah, but he only sees that as that's the only possibility, that I can never be anything else. So I have a lot of hate and anger towards that I really try to squish it down, right? I really try to squish it down and look past that and just try to see him as my dad. Because when we took that trip to San Francisco, that was a beautiful trip. It was just me and my dad.
Yeah.
And it was a great way we could just reconnect together as a family and just like get together, father and son. It was great. It was a beautiful trip. I love that. But then when it comes back to it, the reality is like he never really changes as a person. He's always said in this way. What I do is try to push past the bullshit so I can just see him as my dad. But he makes it very hard to love him, right? So Father's Day, right? 2 days before on Friday, I should say. Tell my dad, hey, what are you doing for Father's Day? He's like, nothing. What do you want to do? I'm like, well, I'm telling you, I can take you out to eat. I'm trying to push past all the bullshit you just did to me right now. And I'm just trying to tell you, if you want to go somewhere to eat, I will make whatever it is possible to take you out to eat on Sunday. Sunday comes along. And even the night before, when I was on the DJing at the boat or whatever, my sister starts texting me, hey, we can go do this on Sunday. I'm going to try to talk to Dad. So we're trying to do this 3-way kind of communication, and it never works like that. Because my sister says something to my dad, and my dad will say something to me. I know that my sister will always tell me the truth, even if it's like, oh, we can't make it, whatever. I know she'll always tell me the truth, but my dad will definitely say, or even say nothing. And just kind of like move past that. Like, so he said that like, oh, your sister's going to be busy that night anyway, so we can't do anything. And let me back it up a little bit more even. I call my dad at 9 a.m. on Sunday. Doesn't answer. He calls me at like 10 o'clock. I say, happy Father's Day. I'm like, hey, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, we can't do anything until Naya gets off work, my stepmom. So we can probably do something at 5. And I'm like, cool, perfect. That works for me, because that's when we were going to meet, like after 7 or whatever. So I had it already kind of organized that we can kind of do whatever. 2 o'clock happens, and me and my sister are still communicating back and forth, saying like, hey, have you called Dad? And I'm like, no, I haven't. I told them that he was going to call you, or you should call him, or whatever the fuck, so that they can get it organized. My sister wanted to go to her place and eat at her place. And I'm like, we can go eat anywhere. I'll pay for it. I don't care. But I'm trying to take my dad out. And if you don't have money, that's fine. I'm inviting you out as well. I will pay for your meal. And she is obviously like, you don't have to fucking do that. Like she feels it even more, because she's going through a hard time too with like, trying to navigate with the 2 kids, with the money situation. It's a lot, right? Yeah. But I'm like, I'm trying to do something nice for somebody. Like, give me something, whatever. So around 2 o'clock, G texts me, and he's like, hey, do you want to come out? We're going to celebrate, just get some beers over at this brewery. And I'm like, sure, yeah. I mean, I got nothing to do until 5, supposedly. When my dad was going to call me and let me know that we were going to go do whatever. Yeah. And we go there, and my phone, I made sure, for whatever reason, my phone isn't notifying me through sound, even though I have sound on, but it's not notifying me that I have text messages. So I'm just constantly checking my phone from that time until then. And I'm just with G, just telling him my plans, like, yeah, they're supposed to call me and to see where we're supposed to meet, right? And the entire time, I'm starving myself. I'm waiting. I'm so fucking hungry. And I was just like having like a ginger beer the entire time, just non-alcoholic stuff. We go to the second brewery like around 4 o'clock, and it's Judgment Day. I'm like, I'm starving. I need to eat something. And I'm like, you know what? If no one's called me yet, and my sister's saying that like my dad hasn't called her either, then it's probably a good bet that he's not going to call either of us, and they're probably just going to do whatever,
Yeah, did you try calling him?
Yeah, so I called him, and I called my sister. He didn't answer, and my sister didn't answer, and said, well, let's just wait or whatever. But I called him, he didn't answer. I order wings, because I'm like, I cannot wait any longer. I've been starving myself trying to wait so I can go to get a meal with my dad. Yeah. So I order wings. The wings come, and right at 5, my dad calls me. He's like, hey, sorry I didn't get your message. Naya got off work, and we couldn't wait, so we just went to go eat. And I'm like, cool. great. All right. Have a good day then. I'll see you later. And I just hung up. That's it. It's like he makes it really difficult to love him, you know? Like you cannot let that expectation come up of like, oh, we can actually do something together. No, that doesn't exist anymore. And granted, and how to say this, to be fair, yeah, he's got other priorities. He's got other people to think about. But I actively tried to tell him, I can take you out to eat. I would love to take you out to eat. Let me take you out to eat. And it's my fault to think that would become a reality, right? So I'm trying to like, that's what I was dealing with that day, right? But I hung out with G and his wife and their little daughter Claire. And honestly, like after that initial call, I just kind of dropped it and I just forgot about it and it changed gears. And then I was just having a good time with them. It just kind of like, it all kind of fizzled out. But I wanted to save that to vent until this podcast. Because that's what I have to deal with all the time. And it's kind of hard to like, I always say that your parents can be pieces of shit, horrible pieces of shit, and you don't have a right to. They don't have a right to call you your son, you're their son or whatever. I think that's a decision that you get to make, and there's no bullshit of like, oh, he's my dad, so I can't let him go. I'm like, no, I think even if your parents are treating you horribly, you have to make the decision for yourself, right? To call them your parents. My parents are. My mom is one of the greatest people in the world, right? But my dad, I'm trying to do all of these things to kind of keep him in my life, to keep him respectfully here, keep him in my circle of people I can trust. Because we have had times where I can trust him, where I can let him into my world, and I can trust him with certain things. But now, every time he fails me, you know, like whenever he fails me as a dad, that circle kind of gets smaller and smaller and smaller of what I can really trust him with. But I still call him my dad because he hasn't we have had very difficult times together, but I still want him as my dad.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to say fuck you, get out of my life, you know. But I still think, not to be hypocritical even on myself, but I still think like even if your parents are pieces of shit, I think it's your decision to say if they're your parents or not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a good number of books I've read a while back, specifically more like romantic based, but I think it's fascinating. There's have you heard of the concept chosen family?
No. Please explain.
It's I guess rudimentally maybe just in the title itself, but you choosing your own families and partners. I guess it more goes along hand in hand with E&M, ethical non-monogamy.
Yeah.
But aside from that, just I think the concept of, you know, you are like the 5 closest people you have around you.
Yeah.
And there's a few other like correlations, but I think in essence, you know, you do pick who you want, and
absolutely,
it's fascinating hearing you say like, I'm not ready to say fuck you and get out of my life. I mean, I could imagine everybody wants to have those parental figures, and I think I was having a conversation with Jessie, a friend of a friend, and we were all getting drinks a couple weeks ago, and so she was raised in a foster home for like most of her life,
right,
and then finally ended up getting placed back with her mother, and then finally moved out on her own. But she wants to have a lot of kids and just like adopt and da 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 da. Anyways, all of that kind of seems. It's good to see that there's people like who don't have a place that still try to make it the most for other people, and so
yeah.
There's a balance too. You kind of don't get to care for people without seeing the dark side, which I'm not sure I'm making the sense in tying it back to.
No, I think people are very complex, and that's why it's like my dad is a very not complex person, but like we have a complex relationship, right?
Right, and I guess I'd like to almost peel back. Like, why do you think, if you think he's simple, maybe, you know, everybody's complex in their own way, and the relationship is so. Kind of what brought him to be this way, at least
from his parentage,
specifically towards you. Do you see it towards your oldest sister?
No, so it's just towards me because my dad he sees me as an adult, not as a man, but he sees me as an adult, which is, how do I say this? I know that doesn't sound right.
That's emasculating, but
yeah, because he constantly would call me that I'm not resilient enough, that I'm mentally weak. You know, we've gone through like years of him denying that I needed mental help, and I would tell him like, I need to go to a mental hospital. I didn't have the words to express that there's, mental wards or an actual therapist. I didn't know what those things were, but I knew that I needed help. And he said multiple times when I was a kid, those don't exist. I remember that very clearly. If I bring this up to him, I never try to bring this up to him because he's going to feel like I'm attacking him, right? Like, you're the reason I'm fucked up. Like, it is, but like, he's not the person to tell that to, right?
Right.
I have other people like more professionally qualified that I can like figure out why he said that, which the reason is his parentage. What I discovered was that his mom, and we're running out of time here, we got like a couple minutes left, but his mom essentially, he was raised with the impression that his grandma was actually his mom, and his real mom abandoned him and became more of his like grandma. That's what. So the roles got flipped, but his mom never wanted him as a kid. He lived his entire life thinking that the woman who raised him, who wasn't his mom and was actually his grandma. So when she died, when his grandma died, the person that was raising him died, he felt like, oh fuck, my mom died. This is recent. This is like 3-4 years ago, I guess, what happened. The woman that was taking care of him, I have a picture of her in my car. She's a really lovely lady, right? Nice lady. But I don't know what she was like as an actual mother. I don't know what it was, the relationship with them. But like, he found out that this person that was around, thinking that it was his grandma, she was still alive, obviously, like recently before she passed, that was actually his mom. And when she died, he found that shit out. And I could tell like it affected him a lot. But to figure out that your mom is dead now, like actually dead now, like that's the kind of shit he went through, right?
Like your real mom.
Yeah. And you didn't know that until she died. Like, it's so fucked up. He's had trauma too, but he can never admit that because it's a sign of weakness, right? Mm-hmm. Because in Mexican Hispanic heritage, I guess you're a proud creature. They're proud creatures, and this sounds so fucked up and weird. I don't know how else to explain this, right? But I can tell that there's a lot of pride in there for them, but they will never accept weakness because they always just want to try to not persevere, but to be living life to the max, whatever the max is. So they kind of like mask all of this hatred and guilt or whatever the fuck with alcohol, as you do, there's so many things. When I read that book of alcoholics, children of alcoholic, parents or whatever, it's incredibly insightful how accurate that book is. How it doesn't, even though I'm not the one that like is of alcohol, like the alcoholic, I am a recipient of someone that has alcoholic abuse. Yeah. And not to say my dad is an alcoholic. He definitely drinks every day, but I can definitely tell when someone has a problem with drinking and when someone's just trying to have a beer to relax. My dad's like that. He just wants to have a beer to relax. He's not trying to get fucked up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can definitely tell that difference. And with reading that book, I see so many things in my dad. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you have so many fucked up things that when you talk to me, his anger will just blossom out of nowhere. And like the other day, I was just trying to tell him, like, we were talking about the worker that I hired. I'm like, on Saturday, I'm like, yeah, he's a great dude. I paid him by the hour. And he's like, why would you pay him by the hour? You should pay him by the job. I'm like, Dad, my uncle who recommended me this worker told me to pay him by the hour, told him that this is how much they paid by the hour. And he said he was okay with it. And then when I was trying to challenge my dad on that aspect, right, just challenging him a little bit, just to kind of like letting him know why I did the things that I did, right, for just getting the worker in, right? He's like, stop talking about work. I don't want to talk about fucking work anymore. I'm fucking done talking about work. It's fucking Saturday. I want to relax. And I'm like, flip the switch. He just flipped the switch and is bipolar as fuck. But you can't talk to him about these things. You just have to accept it and realize, like, because like I said, I want him in my life as my dad. Because there are good things too, but there's a lot of bad. There's
right,
a lot
and
of
I think it's fascinating. Like, you kind of grow to get to know the ins and outs. I shouldn't say hate or love. Granted, maybe that's what marriage is, but
that is.
Like, specifically working with people, you get to know their ins and outs of how all the pet peeves and all the things that either annoy you or you just like kind of learn to let go or just can laugh at.
Yeah.
And so like I remember like just not appreciating as much as I could have like the time spent with my dad, even though I didn't really working with my dad years ago, like on fixing houses and doing random other stuff.
Yeah.
It was just tedious, long labor work, but I think I learned a lot of lessons through that. I may not have appreciated like spending extra hours being a meticulous like perfectionist.
Yeah.
But I can also appreciate that's who he is. You know, kind of accept like character traits that are, if they don't change, that's on them.
Yeah, but it's different. As in, like, you still have time to do that with your dad.
Truly,
like,
but
not to work, but like to just hang out and spend time with your dad, which you are doing. You know, you have a different relationship with your dad now than it was 10, 20 years ago.
100%.
So it's all different.
But I should say the same advice to you. Like,
Yeah.
that, I mean, there's still time to grow and develop. I mean, once you become an art teacher and you're moving on with your life and his kids grow up, I mean, I'd imagine you guys would still hang out, maybe have a beer and
oh yeah, like when we're not,
out.
when it's not about work, we can have a great time. Because when I went to go to this during the times that I was working at this house, it was in Savage, so it's like it was pretty close to his house. So I would go over on a couple nights just to go, because we had family from San Francisco that came, or from Kansas I should say, that came out and was just a part of the family, like just was like making food, I should say. So they invited me out to eat, and there was this great ambiance and this great like love that is there, you know, because now that I'm older, I can speak better Spanish, I should say, and I can like have better quips to talk to these people, and they wanted to talk to me, which is great, you know. So like I felt like there, and even with my dad, like there's this care that I have with my dad, which is kind of like a big brother kind of thing, because like that's how I relate to him now. He's a pig-headed big brother kind of thing, but I love him as my dad, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not. One day I don't know. One day he'll do something very terrible to me, and I will say, "Fuck you, I'm out." You know. But for right now, I hope that doesn't happen, because, like I said, I still love my dad. I want him to be in my life, but it's a very complex relationship to tiptoe, right? When it's not about work, we're having a great time. We'll have a really good time when it's not about work, but it just sucks that he pissed me off really, literally right before Father's Day, and it's the conflict I have inside me of like, I want to take you out, and when you failed to respond, it's like, I did all I could. I did all I fucking could. I'm out.
I'm
out. Anyway, that's all we got for our time for podcast. I don't want to go over, and we got to wrap it up and do another one anyway, just to kind of go over what actually happened later on, because that's actually pretty straight. But that's been our episode of Detox. Thank you guys so much. Any last thoughts before we say goodbye?
Cook for yourself more. Don't go out to eat like we are.
Yep. All right. Cool. See you later.
Thanks,
bye.
I'm glad you came along, partner.